Coach, took about 8 minutes or so in the first half to kind of finally find some rhythm. Why was the game such a slog to start off with?
I just think our teams know each other well. You know, they're no secrets. You know, they've got a really good idea of what we're gonna run, and we've got a pretty good idea of what they're gonna run. Just because as head coaches, we've played against each other a lot. And each of us has changed a little bit depending on our rosters, but the fundamentals of what we're doing really haven't changed a lot. So second time around especially, we just know each other well enough where sometimes it can be hard to find good shots.
Turning them over 16 times, turning that into 20 points, how big was that tonight?
Yeah, really important. Their guards are very good, and they really hurt us, especially with that middle third ball screen at their place. They were able to just generate a lot of offense with it. And I thought Will and Izzy, for us at that center position, did a great job tonight of getting out. And we put 2 on the ball more in this game than we did in the game at their place. And that can be challenging for Will, for Izzy, for our guys at that center spot. But they did a great job with it tonight. And I think that had the most impact on slowing them down.
You talked on Monday about wanting to get a little more pace out of those defensive rebounds. Did you see that tonight?
Some. And it's a little bit. It's a hard thing to do against Bradley, right? So the ones we were able to get to, I felt great about, right? Because they're not a team where you're just going to go get something easy. So there were a couple of them there for us. And I'm excited about the growth we can make there. We had to dial it back and get more deliberate. Without Max and RJ, and then without Tristan, and it's a decision that I felt was best for our team. And we're trying to ramp that back up now and play faster and get the ball into the front court. And it's so there's room there for growth. And that, like I said, I'm excited about that part.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
You mentioned Tristan Jake plays 8 minutes, subbed out with, I believe, 3:02 left in the first half and didn't return. More so a product of flow of the game and the lead you had, or trying to pace minutes in his return given the time he missed?
Yeah, Kyle had a great first half, and so I went with Kyle instead of Tristan at that first sub at that spot, right? But Tristan's moving around well, right? And we're going to need him for us to be our best. We need him healthy, and we're going to need him, back in that where he was playing, 20 to 26 minutes. Like, we're going to need him to get to that spot, and he was anxious to go. He was looking at me in that second half, like he would, and I don't blame him. It's hard, man. When you got 1 year for a guy like Tristan, for a guy like Kale last year, like, you got 1 year at this level, and to have to miss time, man, that is really hard. So he'll have 2 good days, and we'll see more of him on Monday.
You mentioned the first half you got out of Kyle with 10 points off the bench, and it seems like every game that Kyle's in the game, there's some sort of play that he makes that, whether it shows up in the stat sheet as a basket or not, how can you describe what he brings, even in games where he maybe doesn't play a ton of minutes, or maybe the minutes he was last year at times?
Yeah, his leadership is super valuable for our team, for his teammates. When he's whichever team he's with in practice, his communication and the things that he feels and sees really help the guys next to him and the guys on his team play better. And so whether he has a half like he did tonight and he gets 10 points, or the back-to-back games where he made threes in the tournament, and really played great out in California, the one thing that we know is going to be part of it when he's in is his communication, his leadership, like I said, his feel for what's going on around him, and the guys on the floor are going to play better when Kyle's in the game.
Season low in points for Bradley. For you defensively, season low in points allowed against a Division I opponent. Can the defense that defensive play from the last couple of games, can that springboard you a little bit into the Murray-Belmont trip?
Yeah,
next
well,
week?
yeah, it's going to have to. Yeah, I mean, Bradley's very good. They're having a terrific season, and Murray and Belmont have been running 1-2 for the entire conference season. So, yeah, it's going to have to. We were good defensively tonight, and we'll challenge the guys on. There were 5 or 6 plays where we got turned around a little bit, and they were open, but we were good defensively tonight. Our guys were dug in, and it was a good performance at that end. And as Tristan gets up and running, our defense is going to get better. Right? And our guys played with some confidence at the defensive end tonight, and we're going to have that on Monday.
Jake, what were you most proud of from your defense tonight?
We kept the ball above the free throw line, and that goes back to the ball screen, the middle third ball screen they're doing with Johnson and with Wheeler in particular. And we were able to keep the ball transition and with the ball screen stuff in that middle third. And we had to put 2 on it, but that was by design. And I'll go back to what I mentioned about Will and about Izzy at that center position. What they did, keeping the ball above the free throw line and dragging that thing toward the sideline. We did it multiple times tonight, and that's hard to do.
Is it like an effort thing? Will and Izzy?
Yeah,
Dudes?
yeah. It's effort is a big part of it. Awareness and effort, a combination of those 2 things. And then the other thing I would tell you is we've got to do a great job as coaches. And I think that gets lost sometimes. And when you win, I think there's a feeling of as coaches we did a great job, and when we win, the players have done a great job, like we saw tonight. Like the guys were good tonight, right? And sometimes when you're not playing as good, like the players are the ones out on the floor, right? So they're the ones that people are like, oh man, he didn't play great or he didn't play great. The thing that people don't see is, maybe I made a mistake in the scouting report, and maybe I made a mistake on a set play, so we've got to do a great job as coaches in the decisions we make and the positions that we put the players in, right? So that's one piece of it is what we emphasize, and then it's the awareness and the effort to get it done.
Coach Swagger, all around solid game tonight. Your thoughts on his play?
Yeah, he's been great. His versatility has been important for us. Having to play some point when the 2 guards were out, and having to play kind of the power forward. When Tristan's been out, so his versatility has been great. He's in every day. He's in every day for 45, 50 minutes, getting shots up and working on his game. And he's up watching film, and his confidence and just the way he carries himself. The way he's the last year and a half he's really it's really changed and grown, and that's been the best part of it. And you see that now in the decisions that he's making. Right? And some of them can be very very subtle, maybe very minor plays that maybe don't result in him shooting the ball or getting a rebound. Like there's little things he's doing right now that take a tremendous amount of confidence, and that's my favorite part of what he's doing. Like his versatility is, off the charts, and he's doing a ton for us. But he's playing with a lot of confidence.
Consistency has been an issue for the past few weeks. We finally get 2 in a row here.
Yeah.
What's the key in just keeping this snowball rolling?
Yeah, I mean, getting healthier. That's look. I don't talk about it with the guys, and I doubt they watch my my interviews, so I don't think they're going to see this either. But I don't talk about it with the guys. There's at no point in my coaching career or playing career have I had I was lucky. I had coaches that didn't let us. If a guy was hurt, a guy was hurt. If we had a job to do, and that's to prepare and play well. And so it's not an excuse as to why we didn't have success in those games. But I'm going to tell you, it matters. When you don't have Max and RJ for a month, practice is different. And then Tristan is so important to our team. His physicality and his enthusiasm and his energy, and the other guys are going to play with more of a chip on their shoulder when Tristan's out there. Okay? So that leads to some of the inconsistency, and that leads to some of the struggles, and that's outside of the guys' control. We lost 4 of the 5, but we lost 5 in a row. 4 of the 5 were tied under 5 minutes or 4 minutes or 3, or even, I think a couple of them were a one possession game under a minute. Right? You know, if you swing 2 or 3 of those, we're tied for second. Right? So they've continued to like really battle and do what we ask of them. I've loved that part of it. Doesn't mean we haven't made mistakes, but I'm just telling you, man, the injuries have such an impact on the way you practice. Depending on who the guy is that is removed from the lineup, it has a ripple effect that cannot be understated or overstated.
Specifically on this game again, Jake, in a game where Schwager has 15, but like the offensive studs, Trey and Leon didn't have their best game, but defensively, like you really carried the day. How important is it to have a game like this? You don't want them every day, but where defense wins you the game and kind of a clunky offensive day.
Yeah, and I think our points per possession is going to be 1 or just above 1. And anytime you're at 1 or above, you've had a good offensive day. You know, no matter how it shakes out or looks sometimes. I have my thought on those. Oh, Trey and Leon and Willie and Benny were probably our 2 most effective offensively tonight. Okay, but what Max did defensively, what Trey did defensively, and what Leon did defensively. Right? And then we had a great stretch in the first half from our bench. RJ and Gian, there was a 5-minute stretch where it was RJ, Gian, Kyle was a part of it. He had the big first half, but we got a really good 5-minute stretch from those bench guys. So I think I don't get too caught up in that part.